What is up? What is up?
All right, we are live on all platforms, TikTok, Twitch, finally, and Facebook and YouTube. So
We got a lot of news in crypto where there's a lot happening right now.
yeah, there's a lot to go on with the FTX case and the implications of the SEC and the conspiracy, or I should say, the conspiring to suppress Bitcoin, the price of Bitcoin. So let's get into it. But before we do, if you guys coming in on TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube, you guys can like, subscribe, and follow. It really help us out, grow the channel, and share the live, get more people in here because it's open forum. So guys, ask your questions. Our moderators are not in yet. Shout out to Tony Tiger. What's up, buddy? Hope you're having a great morning chasing that bag. We got our moderators starting to join in, so we appreciate you guys coming in. Just keep it civil in the chat and the questions. I'll try to get to everyone's questions as quickly as possible and as efficient as possible. We got a lot to talk about in an hour before I get my day going, starting, running my moving company and logistics company. So I got a lot of work to do today, but happy Friday, everyone. Really appreciate you guys in here. We're going to go over a little bit of details in the crypto market. We are up 0.4% on total market cap at 1.05 trillion. Bitcoin dominance is at 50% even today. ETH at 17.8%. We have a total trading volume of almost just shy of $22 billion in the crypto market. We also got down. We got a lot of real estate going down, and mortgage rates are at all-time 30-year lower than they were in 1992, right before the real estate crash of 93. So we got some interesting things here. A lot of businesses are shuttering their doors. A lot of craziness are happening. We have the greed and fear index at 39. So we are dropping back into the fear territory. Good morning to you too, Cali X2. Glad to have you in here, one of our longtime supporters and moderators. So glad to have you in here, and it's glad to be back on live. So we got a lot to talk about. So what topic should we talk about first, guys? Shout out to Tony Tiger there. Are you guys still buying XRP/XLM? I am always buying XRP. Right now, I'm just kind of waiting a little bit more. Cody and I think that the market's going to have a nice dip in the next 30 days, and I'm really gonna buy more. But other than that, we just been buying ETH, Quant, and Bitcoin as of
right now, like especially for Polkadot's expected to drop a bit because all the token unlocks from 2021 that were done in them parachains, they're coming out on the 24th. So Polkadot's going to go through a drop on the 24th.
Yeah, we do expect it. What'd you say? You expected a $2 range?
$2.50 ICO price.
Yeah, maybe maybe as low as 210. Shout out to DJ Skynet. Thanks for the follow. Like that Skynet name there. For all those people who like Terminator. Shout out to El Genti. Will you ever sell your Bitcoin? Yeah, once profit is good, start to sell it a little bit more. Shout out to my plan to target to sell a little bit of my Bitcoin. I do have about 30% of my portfolio in Bitcoin. If it hits the miraculous of 100,000, I will cash out and wait for it to dip down. Because as you hit all-time highs, you then go back down to a new low, and then I'll just start buying back in. That's usually the strategy. And shout out to Tony Tiger. Can you tell me why ETH? Um, Cody actually really talked me into ETH, but then as we did more research on Ethereum, I don't consider it an altcoin anymore. And with where it's headed, I think it has a better return on investment ROI for this upcoming bull run than Bitcoin.
Oh
And
yeah.
you're going to double your money on Bitcoin or maybe triple. But with Ethereum right now, we think it's going to hit between 8,500 and 10,000. So, but
Yeah, see, with me, I'm an ETH guy. I bought a lot of ETH yesterday. Actually, I'm almost at about 3 ETH. I'm building up my ETH for the next year, and I'm trying to get to about 7 to 10 coins of it, pretty much.
yeah, and Cody's trying to go heavy on Ethereum, but do keep in mind we think the price of Ethereum will go up just because more people are buying Chainlink, Quant, Ethereum based tokens. So it should rise just because more people are going to buy it to hold some ETH to do their transfers. Shout out to Karen the Goat. Glad to have you in here. What do you think SPY is going to dip at open? The SPY index probably because just a small dip because there's huge implications with the SEC and manipulating crypto markets now from the case. So Ginsler is definitely on his way out. He's definitely on his way out. He might even go to jail for this. So we'll have to see. It's unlikely, but not unlikely. I shouldn't say that. I think public opinion will want him to go to jail. We'll have to see how politics goes about processing this. Shout out to Callie and shout out to Al Shepard. Thanks for the follow. Really appreciate you there. And you're welcome there, DJ Skynet. Um, looks like looks like a dip is coming, then hopefully a pump soon. If there's a dip, we always get a relief pump within about 3 months afterwards, 2 to 3 months, but we're gonna have a dip and it's gonna kind of hold that position for a while. So it's gonna be good for dollar cost averaging. Shout out to Big Jerome. Glad to have you in here. Welcome back in, one of our great supporters. Thanks for the support there, buddy. Other than the stock market's going to be in a steady decline. We're probably going to be looking at like 1% weekly losses until it hits its bottom. We also have a lot going on with the student loans, whether or not people pay them back or not. I know a lot of people are frustrated at them, so they're not going to pay those loans back. Like 65% of student debt holders are saying they're not paying anything back, and that's going to affect the economy if they do that. Now, it's going to hurt them. It's going to destroy their financial success for years, for probably 20, 30 years. So I don't recommend doing it because you're only hurting yourself. And then you're only going to spend your tax dollars to resolve it. So you're hurting yourself either way. I just don't see it. Now, for me, because I invested into ORC, which holds a lot of student debt, whether the government pays, whether the taxpayers pay, or whether the debt holders pay, I own the company that owns the debt and is servicing the debt, so the payments go straight to me. So in essence, I want you guys to have the government bail that out because then I get a huge dividend. And I strongly don't recommend that. Strongly don't recommend that. When they say, "Oh, we're going to cancel student debt," all you're going to do is make the people that own the debt wealthier. Don't do it. Just pay it off. Make sure you pay that interest off. Get out of debt. That is just really the new form of enslavement. That's all it is. Shout out to Lauren. Thanks for the follow. Glad to have you in here. Really appreciate that. I know we got a little off topic from our ETH question there, but you know, we're just going to sometimes we ramble on. We got a good hour to get through a lot of this stuff, but still Ethereum is a strong portion. It's also about 25% of my portfolio. So it's something that I will definitely be holding on for a while. Shout out to El Genti. What do you think about all these financial institutions buying into MicroStrategy? Um, the ones who have the biggest funds right now are definitely are definitely trying to push the economy towards that downward fall, because the wealthiest people will, as the economy dips, they start buying up all the key points of industry. And with financial institutions either financing it, backing it, or anything, I'm not a big fan of doing these whole macro micro strategies things that a lot of these places do. All how I was taught to invest by a guy that had made hundreds of millions of dollars in investing and building businesses was, if it was undervalued, he bought it, and then he sold it when it was at his perceived value. He bought businesses. His biggest times business was when everybody was scared, economy was bad, crash was bad, everybody was thinking the world was coming in. That's when he was buying up everything, and he ended up owning. I think he owned up in the township like 70% of the rental properties in one township. So it's like that's how he built up his wealth. And I can't say it has nothing to do with a micro strategy or focusing on, right. He just waited till everybody panicked and bought. And the real investors with the real money are waiting for. So I don't really pay attention to anyone doing that whole talking about, oh, I'm trading on a macro strategy, I'm trading on a micro strategy, I'm trading on a per diem strategy. They're all just buzzwords and stuff like that. The key thing is
Yep.
to invest in something that's undervalued. And with everybody panicking, there will be a lot of good places to invest because people will just be dumping, cashing out. Like right now, a lot of people who are faking it to make it or keeping up with the Jones, they're starting to sell their assets. So art's going to start dropping, stocks are going to start dropping, crypto's going to start dropping because all those things are going to start getting sold off to finance the lifestyle. And like I said, that Rolex, like luxury watches, now, if you were a manufacturer, you made bank during the last 3 years. But now, everybody that bought one is going to lose a lot of money because there's going to be a lot of people that were flexing that lifestyle to showboat for everyone else. And now that Rolex is going to get sold at like a third of the value and start bringing down the price of the market because they need the cash to keep up their life. Now, like they they have their phone, house, and car payments. And if they're renting or leasing like those high-end luxury cars, that $8,000-9,000 APY payment is coming due. So that watch is getting sold right off because as humans, our nature is to try to preserve our lifestyle rather than give it up. The easiest thing would be just give up the luxury condo, give up the Lambo, and walk away from it and declare bankruptcy. But most people don't want to do that. They try to maintain the lifestyle as long as they can because we all think it's going to get better, and it never does. Shout out to Mark. Thanks for the follow. Really appreciating here. After we go over a little bit of FTX, I'm going to drop the link in the chat if you guys want to come on live on YouTube and speak your hit, or just comment here if you want to stay a little anonymous, and we'll try to answer your questions. There's been a lot of news about the FTX debacle, and like I said, there had to have been some collusion. Now, I'm from the fraud auditing side. I learned a lot about fraud auditing and accounting, and it's like you ain't having house call visits every like twice a month over there. It's like there's something definitely being talked about. No recorded conversations, no text messaging, no phone calls, very encrypted emails talking about when to meet up. And they just had a regular time frame. It was just in his schedule that he would talk to SBF. And the whole ploy, like I think over the last 2 years, Ginsler was saying it was they're just talking about how to make it safer for the average investor. In the meantime, we have his ex-girlfriend slamming both SBF and Ginsler on the stand, saying they colluded to keep the price of Bitcoin under 20K. They were Sam Bankman was trying to sell customer assets, their customers owned Bitcoin, to drop the price of Bitcoin. And they were keeping the cash and funneling the cash to Alameda, which then was using the cash to either do degenerate trades, which had no risk assessment ever, and then also, you know, drugs and all that other bull crap that they were doing down there. So it's like all the red flags were there, but because people wanted to find the next like Zuckerberg, they kind of just put that label on him and ignored all the red flags. And that goes to show you how there's a lot of people with a lot of money that are really stupid. Shout out to Lala. Welcome in. Glad to have you in here. Thoughts on Caspa and Hello Labs? I'm not sure about Hello Labs, but Caspa, I've been keeping an eye on it. I'm not sure what Cody thinks on it, but I've been keeping an eye on it. And like I said, as we get closer towards the anticipated bull run, I might put that in my what I call my lottery bag of investments, where I just put a set amount in, and then if it makes it, I'm going to cash out. If not, then, but it's not my long-term holds. So if you guys haven't seen our Sunday stream, we go over every Sunday what's in our portfolio, what we're trading, what we're anticipating moving around, and things like that. But it's definitely not in my top 10 cryptos I'm holding in my wallet. Cody, do you have any thoughts on Casper?
No, I haven't done too much research on it, but like you said, like I would definitely want to buy some, just a little bit, just to hold.
Yeah, it's kind of the same category as the gaming tokens. I see a potential for a good much, but I'm not going to be putting like thousands of dollars into it. Shout out to Rodney Starboy, great username. Thanks for the follow. Really appreciate the support. Shout out to Big Jerome, who's Cody. Cody is actually the other guy who got me into crypto 2 years ago. And then I'm kind of helping him kind of get into business, real estate, stocks. And we just love talking about finance and investing. And we just, when he can join in, we join in on these lives and like to talk together about what's in our mind, talking with you guys, giving our opinions on things and things like that. So that's who Cody is. He's the guy that got me into crypto, because I never would have gotten into it unless if he got me, he explained a lot more about it, and then I just started doing my own research. But thank you guys. We are definitely getting there. But back to this, because it's kind of crazy that there is I think not tomorrow. I think it's today. That they're going over the audio files of her talking to her current boyfriend after she was no longer in a relationship with SBF, or her latest boyfriend, about what SBF told her to do. He convinced her to not quit Alameda. I think she was going to quit because she knew the storm was coming. She knew what they were doing was wrong. And it's you don't even have to understand finance to know that if you're trying to run a multi-billion-dollar company, you cannot be commingling consumer funds that are supposed to be in a statement for their portfolios with the business's allocated funds. So what they thought they could do is run it like a bank. Now, what a bank does, a lot of people don't know, is a bank, when you deposit your money with the bank then takes that money, invests it in government debt, in bonds and things like that, or into like mortgage securities, and then they lend that money out. So that's how they get a return. And then every day they get money back in and have to bring their balance sheet to zero. So if they're down 1 million, they have to go to a bank that has a 1 million surplus, which is what the central bank is there for, to facilitate that. And then they borrow that from the other bank to make even. And then that IOU is held by the other bank. And when they need the exact amount and that bank has it, they complete the IOU by giving that money back. That's how it works. So I think that's how they were trying to make crypto work, but it didn't work out that way. Gary, shout out to Faded Maestro. Welcome in. Glad to have you in here. Gary Wang, her BF. I don't think so, but he might be. I'm not sure. They don't really disclose who who that other guy is, but Gary Wang was also in on it, and his testimony, he already did a private testimony to the investigators. So he's like his official testimony hasn't been released yet, but there's also news of him saying he was aware of the fraud that they were doing and was instructed by SBF to program in a backdoor for Alameda to suck out consumer funds, which is crazy. But we all suspected that over since the collapse that Gary Wang had a heavy involvement in it. So I think Gary Wang pleaded out, as well as what's her name? What's this woman's name? Carol Ellison. She also pleaded out, probably because they know so much that no matter what they say, they're going to the courts are going to find them guilty. Shout out to Big Jerome. Of the 22K cryptocurrencies, how many do you think will survive? After regulations and things like that, we'll probably only have about 600. That's my opinion. Probably about 600 is about what's actually has value, viable projects, and is not a scam. Because I think it's something like 1,000 a day for the last since 2021. Were pump and dump scam tokens and meme tokens. They lumped them all together. So it's hard to say exactly, but I think it's about 600 actual tokens that are actually worthwhile that will make it.
Because even like in early 2022, there was like only 25K cryptos.
Yes. I think now there's like over 30. Right now 1.8 million crypto tokens and projects. So we're talking about 0.000 like 1 millionth of a percent of what is actually out there is actually viable and will probably survive this. Now, what's bad about this case is that it is putting a bad stigma and a bad taste to the average investor about crypto, because the FTX case and debacle makes people very scared. And what a lot of people don't understand is when you get to about 50, 60, 70 years old, when you're trying to find a safe haven for your nest egg, which most people have between 800,000 and $1.5 million by the time they retire, from 401ks, pensions, savings, investment portfolios, things like that, it gets very scary because you need to live off of that money, and you are out of time to be able to recoup losses. So them getting this does not speak well to it. Now I will say it will be a win for everybody because Gary Gensler will be ousted after this. That's a guarantee. Whether he gets criminally convicted or not, it doesn't matter. He's going to get ousted out of the SEC just because of his involvement with SBF and the collusion to suppress the price of Bitcoin, which they kind of failed miserably because it stayed over 2,000. But we don't know if that was because Binance was buying it, because Binance was buying a lot of Bitcoin while they were trying to sell it, and that was they weren't able to suppress it all the way. Because I think the only time it got under 20K was from FTX's collapse, and then it kind of bounced back from that. But it's what was the other thing? Here it is. Yeah, the FBI raided her home, countered with her parents and new boyfriend at her home when FBI raided. They basically got them all. And there's also talks that their parents, both her parents and SBF parents, like there's this whole like circle of conspiracy going on. So I mean, we're still getting testimony. We're still going to get a lot of other things that are going to come out. But like I said months ago, we're just going down the rabbit hole. We haven't even gotten that deep into it yet. And the sad thing is, though, is there's no money for all these investors. Like, there's a lot of people that lost millions of dollars, and you're never going to see that back. There's a lot of people that lost life savings. You're never going to see it back. There's no money to recover because the only asset that was left was the FTX token, and that crashed. So it's worth only 10% of its original value. So I don't know where the court appointed trustee is going to find that money other than liquidating FTX entirely and selling off any and all assets, including lease obligations to other companies. That's the only way I could see it. But we're still, we're in day 7 of the trial. So I have to see what more news comes out, because only the agents and the prosecutors know the full scope of the evidence that they have, and their attorneys. So that's not public to us yet. So it's only going to be public until as the case goes on, which of course I'm telling you, there's going to be this case is definitely going to be part of why crypto collapses. So not collapses, but we'll have that 25 to 35% down. Shout out to Cali X2. That whole SPF story keeps getting more and more crazy. Exactly. It's just going to get deeper and deeper. Shout out to Lala. How much did he donate to DNC? They're estimating somewhere between 80 up to $300 million. And the accountants to say it could be upwards of $800 million that he either donated or upwards promised or gave away in secret wallets that were funneling in customer assets. So we won't know the full number until the accountants really get a hold of everything, including all of the people involved, both parents, everyone accused, everyone involved in the cases, finances, wallets, and everything. Then they could really start tracking the money and see exactly how much was embezzled, pushed over. But the prosecution team felt it necessary that they did not have enough evidence to convict SBF of the DNC fraud, of donating too much money to DNC. So they dropped that because they have a really strong case in this. Now, the crazy thing, though, is once this case is done and he serves his time in the U.S., what people don't understand is China is going to come after him for bribing Chinese officials, government officials, about pushing money through and everything. So once he's finished his time here, he's going to get extradited to China, and we probably will never see him again. That's probably what's going to happen. Shout out to Jeff. Thanks for the follow. Glad to have you in here. Really appreciate your support there. And thanks we're up to 5,000 likes. Hope we can get some more in. It'd be great. Hope you guys can share us. That's certainly free, but give us a follow and subscribe on YouTube. Link is in the bio for everything. Ooh, excuse me. So, that's all the news that we got caught up on this, but I think that's enough for that case. There really isn't too much more we can go on until they release all the evidence of what's going on. Shout out to Big Jerome. When do you think micro cap stocks will recover? Probably not for another 5 years. I don't think the stock market's going to see a real true recovery until 5 years from now. When this whole thing, when inflation's done with, when the economic crisis is done with, after we hit the economic bottom of the world, which means everything is going to come to a crazy halt, that's probably when things are going to realistically start to recover. If anything, I would just be buying blue chip stocks. I'm not a financial advisor, but I am a licensed broker. And the things I noticed that people are buying is just blue chip stocks, mainly Walmart, Procter & Gamble, DuPont Industries, things like that. So I would stay away from those any weird stocks and stuff. I would focus mainly on the blue chip stocks. Or just go into like Betterment and things like that. Shout out to LJ. Politicians always get away. So frustrating. If it was us, we would be arrested. Absolutely. Absolutely. If I had done what SPO, I would probably be the first public execution. That's probably what would be happening if it was like someone like me, because there's no way I could get away with doing all of that and think like I'm just gonna walk away. Like I know where I stand in society. I know what's gonna happen to me. But unfortunately, somehow these politicians now have a lot of influence, which is why a lot of the younger generation, I'm telling you guys, the politics is going to change. I think we're going to go from a two-party to four-party system. I also think that a lot of young people are going to oust out 90% of the politicians, either through election, or they're just going to come in and just pull them out of the office, which is constitutionally, as long as we don't physically harm them, constitutionally legal for us. If you don't like your politician, pull them out of office. It's like they can say we don't want you there anymore, and if the whole populace says it, then that's what will happen. Yeah, I can't pronounce that one, but I think it's
I
Yak.
noticed that.
Thanks for the follow. Sorry, Cody. Go ahead.
Oh, you're good. Speaking of politics, I also noticed a lot of people in my generation, eventually they're going to see how politics are somewhat BS, Because I think politics, like, I stay out of it.
Yeah, unfortunately though, none of us can really stay out of it. I don't really pay attention nor care who's president or who's a senator or anything, but we do have to pay attention to it. All of us do, because they make decisions that affect us, and no one really thinks about it until that decision directly affects you. It's just like people say, I don't care about war and a draft, but then when the draft takes away your 18-year-old son, then all of a sudden you care. Shout out to Big Jerome. What do you think of Vivek? I don't think a lot of them. I don't really care much for a lot of the candidates. It's my thing is that I'll try to find a way to survive around them by just following in. I may be a step behind, but I try to follow their financial steps. That way, I'm not going to incur too many losses, because really our losses are at their wealth is at the behest of our losses. So just remember that. Shout out to LJ. Too many people okay with crooked politics on their side. That's true. If you're making money from the crooked politics, usually people don't care, and that's most unfortunate. Back to Vivek. I don't have a lot of confidence in him. I don't think he would be a good. I don't think he would be a good presidential candidate, especially with this current scenario. Like, we probably need someone who's a little bit more stern, has a good amount of military experience, as well as can relate to both sides, the middle ground of people, because that's really what you got to fight for. Shout out to Big Jerome. They're all puppets anyway. That is also true. And shout out to El Ginty. We need new younger politicians that are connected to your community. Yeah, exactly. It needs to go exactly like how Schoolhouse Rock explained politics. So we do need, and I think younger people will get involved, because eventually they'll get fed up and say, hey, we got to do policies that help us in the future, which unfortunately might mean some changes for some of the older generation. So, but I do feel like, because like I'm coming up on 40, so my generation's pretty set. It's your guys is like Cody's generation, 25 and younger, that they're going to change. You guys are going to change. It's up to you guys to change it. I mean, it's up to all of us, but it's really up to you guys, because you guys are going to live the longest out of all generations. Despite what people think, you guys will live the longest. There'll be better healthcare technology. everything will get a little better. People live a little longer. You're probably going to have this adult life for 20, 30 years longer than even my age group will have. So you got everyone 25 and under, it is imperative that you understand and get involved in politics and elect people that are aligned with your sensibilities of protecting your future. All this other crap, people worried about this, people worried about feelings. No, get rid of all that. Focus on stop screwing over everybody financially, and everything else will align. I also say get rid of the insurance gag orders on pharmacies. That'd probably solve 90% of healthcare problems. Um, I'm also, I also think if 25 and under could get into understanding a little bit better about how economics could really work, like not this whole trickle down economics, not all these, not socialism, not all that stuff, but understanding how economics in the country really works and just reading up on actual history will have a better, they'll have a better chance of fixing everything going on. Shout out to Cali X2. I don't necessarily support RFK Jr., but he is the only one talking about crypto. He is, but there's also a lot of people. There's a lot of people, whether good or bad, talking about crypto, and not just the politicians, but economists, traders who are involved in manage billions of assets, kind of deal. I think I think crypto's gonna come out of it with some regulation and with being a part of the economy in the next decade. But right now it's hard to see it, but it is getting there. It is gonna get there. But I haven't actually watched much stuff with RFK Jr. about crypto. Other than I think he was on Joe Rogan and they were talking about Bitcoin. I think other than that, that's really it. I don't know about Cody. Have you been following the politics on crypto with all these politicians?
No, I
I
have not. Fill me in.
Yeah, you guys are gonna have to fill. I'm gonna have to read up on it today or later today because I haven't really been following it other than what's going on with Ginsler and seeing how he ties into everything. Shout out to Fuli. Fuli, thanks for joining in on the live. You invested in crypto? Absolutely. I have a 7-figure account. If you would like to know exactly what I have, you can go click the link in the bio, go to the YouTube, and go back to the What's in Your Portfolio and check out all those. And that's what exactly I have. I go over all of my assets in there. Shout out to, and thanks for the follow, Fooey. We really appreciate that as well. Shout out to Big Drone. What do you think of Gemini Exchange? It's all right. I don't like that. It's a very centralized exchange. So just remember that they have and have in the past and will ban your wallet off of there and things like that. So I'm not big on them. I also think the Winklevoss twins are assholes and idiots. So I'm not going to get involved in it. They're just people like they have good ideas, but they don't have any idea of how to execute that type of business. Any type
assholes and idiots.
So they got their fame, they got their money from Zuckerberg, they made money off of Bitcoin because they invested early. Bravo. Go back into your corner and go do your boat races and Harvard fraternity stuff. Like I don't care. Like it's just a lucky thing. Like, and I kicked myself too because I had a chance to get into Bitcoin, like I think 2011. Like I just didn't have the time to figure out how to mine it. I was trying to mine it off my laptop at the time. I just got frustrated. I was also a regional manager at Radio Shack at the time, so my time was pressed. So I just didn't invest in it. So, but you live and you learn. I miss out on a lot of run ups. So I get a few, but I miss out on a lot. So, and that's just the way life goes.
Yep.
But it is. I wouldn't say it's just funny. They just happened to walk into it probably one day, heard about it, said, "Oh, this is an excellent opportunity," and they made a good investment. So they made an investment, they held through it, and that was it. Um, so it kind of is what it is. Shout out to Callie XU. Are you or Cody into meme coins at all? I'm
Not
I'm
really.
not, but I know Cody's not, but I mean it's a lottery grab. Definitely that Pepe token's a lottery token. Put your money into it. As soon as the bull run happens, it'll take off. Then you sell. Same thing with Doge. Same thing with Shiba. As soon as it blows up, sell it. Even if you just double your money, just sell it. Sell it when you feel comfortable selling it, as with any asset. But just remember, meme coins are highly, highly volatile. So you could look at it 1 hour, see a money, and then look at it next hour and see it drop. So it happens. See, someone already flagged it. I'm sorry that you don't like my decision on meme coin. So, but hey, but shout out Robert. Thanks for the follow. Really appreciate it. Uh, Shout out to Big Jerome. I had 10 million does, sold it before it blew up. Huge regret. Hey, I've sold stocks before they blew up and kicked myself. So I certainly understand your regret, but we didn't lose it either, because I saw a lot of people keep saying, "Oh, it's going higher, it's going higher, it's going higher," and then it just dropped 95%. And I was like, you should have sold it when you had the chance. Shout out to Cali X2. I've been looking at them for quick pump and dumps. Their pump and dumps are. I have a feeling that those coins will only get really pumped up towards the end of the bull run, kind of like what they did in the last one. It was like, what was it? Spring of 2021. They started their ramp, and then June of 2021 they started their downfall.
Yep. Yep.
Oh,
I
go ahead.
remember that whole summer, Bitcoin seemed like it was going to stay at 30K forever.
Shout out to Robert. What's your take on XRP? And shout out to Lopez Daniels. Thanks for the follow. Really appreciate that. I think XRP is definitely going to be the transit conduit of crypto and where we're going as society as a future, because the speed of it, the accuracy of it, the decentralization of enough of it so that you can run credit card processors off of the XRP platform will make when we start to grow and we start having like simple mining colonies and stuff like that out in our solar system. Swift can't process that. It would take months for that system to really work that far away. Where XRP, I can send, if you're, let's just say, looking at a kind of a real hypothetical future, you have a family member out on a mining colony out on a moon in Jupiter, Titan, right? XRP will transmit that within 15 minutes. So I can send you money within 15 minutes and we can message, because someone is creating a messenger app on XRP. So we can message and communicate on it. That's amazing. The speed and transit, because now it's almost the same as if you were text messaging on Earth. So that's where I see it going. That's where I see XRP having the true potential. But it does do away with the Swift ledger system, which is an astronomically antiquated system. It really is, even though they said it was founded in the 70s and it has some technology, but it is no different than how we did banking 3,000 years ago. I take a ledger, you have a ledger, we match it up, and that's it. And then we have to go line by line and match everything up. That takes forever. And every night there is a team of people every night matching up ledgers from every bank, every financial institution, and every person across the world. That's why Swift takes days upon days to transfer money. Um, but my take on XRP is the case against XRP set the precedent for crypto going forward in the future, and it is a viable price. I'm not as bullish as some of these people saying $800, $900 a token, but I do believe we'll see a $5 XRP in the next 5 to 10 years. So I'm a long term holder of it, and I have 33% of my portfolio in it. Like, because XRP, Ethereum, and Bitcoin, and now Quant's quickly overtaking my XRP. Those are the main tokens I have, and then I have a small percentage of my portfolio and everything else. Um, Shout out to Big Jerome. Do you think XRP will overtake Ethereum market cap? Anything's possible. I'm not a firm believer of, you know, market cap setting how high something can go, because market cap is only the value of what everybody believes the value should be. That's all it is. So if consumer and investor sentiment says the value should be higher, then XRP can overtake Ethereum. But at the same time, Ethereum is also building value to their platform and growing their platform. So you have to keep that in mind as well. Cody, what are some of your thoughts on XRP? Overtake.
XRP, like you said, anything's possible, but I don't see it. I see Ethereum still staying as big number two next bull run.
Yeah. Next bull run, no. Maybe in 15 years, they might switch, but Ethereum market cap will be increasing along with it, so it's hard to say. But XRP will definitely be in the top 10 tokens. Shout out to LJ. What happened with the Wrinkles Robinhood? Not sure what you mean. You mean the Winklevosses? They had a platform similar to Robinhood, or did they have a Robinhood account? Or I'm not sure. I all I know is that they own They are a major investor in the Gemini exchange, but other than that, I don't know much news about the Winklevoss twins, if that's who you're referring to. You're gonna have to add a little bit more LJ to that, so I can help get a good answer to that. Shout out to Big Jerome. They have 75K in Bitcoin. Winklevoss twins. They invested early, like $5 million worth of Bitcoin at the time, and then they were out. No problem, LJ. We'll see you next live. But hey, thanks for joining in. Thanks for your support. Really appreciate that. Shout out to Full Anonymous. What do you think about CIS? Are you referring to a stock or referring to a crypto? Because I'm not familiar with either. I think you're referring to a stock or an exchange. A stock? Okay, I have to look that one up. Let me take a look at that one. Oh my Robinhood here. Hold on one second there. Buddy, we'll get a quick look at that. All right. There are a lot of stocks, and I'm not paying attention. I see that you're looking at a low market cap stock, so it's definitely on the OTC, over the counter exchange. I don't think it's on a major exchange. C3IS Inc. is a holding company that engages in seaborne transportation services to dry bulk charters and subsidiary. Oh, they're shipping and commodities company and stuff like that. Okay. That's a hard thing to say, but with the current economy, they are going to suffer. They are going to suffer there, because if they're involved in shipping commodities and goods, then the economy is slowing down rapidly. So the only goods and services that would be really utilized is local and nationwide. So, like, at the exotic fruit market is declining rapidly, though, and that's probably a commodity that they move a lot of if they do overseas stuff, but if they do dry goods, I mean, a lot of that stuff coming out of China has been banned, so their international markets is really pooped on, and then now they only have the really importing to US for a lot of dry goods, and US, the the average consumer here is dropped their spending by like 90%. So I would expect them to have a rough 3 years. And if they survive those 3 years, they might see a rebound. But just remember, this is an OTC stock, so the liquidity on it is not there. So once you have it, it's yours. So just remember that. And fully anonymous, thanks for the follow. Really appreciate that. Glad to have you in here. I just uh I just get really worried about those stocks. It's like mining companies. They're all OTC stocks, and so their liquidity is very low. So it's very hard, and there's no market makers making a market for these type of stocks. So just be aware of that. Once you buy it, it's yours. And the company has only been around 2 years, coming up on 2 years. So I don't really want to invest in a stock unless if the company's really been around for 5 years or more, because then they have a nice financial history. But you know what? We can always take a look at it in the next 3 months and see where it's going. Um, let's see here. Shout out to Fully Anonymous again. What can we expect from crypto stocks like Mara and Riot? Um, they're probably going to follow most stock trends. Especially if the crypto market goes down, they're naturally go down just because investor fears will follow from the crypto to those stocks, and then they'll start dumping those stocks just because they fear, or they might be leveling out the risk and dropping them. So the values will go down, but all stocks will have a value decrease of 10 to 15% over the next couple of years, maybe even 20%. But any mining company, any publicly traded crypto company will see a loss on the value of their stock going forward, because we're going to have a lot of volatility in the next 6 months in both markets, as well as not just that, but like private business markets, private equity markets, and then on top of that, the banking industry, the finance industry, the real estate industry. It's all coming to a head. So we're going to see the next 6 months a crash, and then we'll finally have the reset that we deserve. However, remember, the Federal Reserve will let one of these major financial institutions fail, and they'll save the others. So just keep that in mind. We don't know which one. It's like a roll of the dice, which one they do, but that's what's going to happen. Shout out to Full Anonymous. What's causing the volatility? If to really be blunt and honest, it's really just the average person's financial stupidity, which is causing the economic downturn. And what I mean by that is, I'm not saying that anyone is dumb in any way, but we printed a lot of money and then as human nature kicked in, people forgot, like a lot of debts and stuff got furloughed. So people forgot that they had that 700, 800, whatever amount student loan debt that they had to pay. So they didn't calculate that into their budgets with their new house that they bought, the new cars that they bought. And people just wanted to flex for everybody on, like, do it for the gram. Well, now do it for the gram put you in doing it for bankruptcy. And unfortunately, a lot of people forget when you declare bankruptcy on this stuff that when that debt gets wiped out, it is taxable income. I'm not a tax advisor, but I could tell you from my own personal experiences as writing up, I had a time in my life where I had to charge off debt on my personal credit card. And so this was years ago, and I had to pay income tax on it. So, and I had a former employee of mine declare bankruptcy, and didn't file his 1099-C because he also forgot that his bankruptcy, that $28,000 that they wiped out counts as income, and you owe income tax on it. So just that's going to be the final like pin to drop on the economic collapse. But what really happened is we printed all this money, gave it to the masses, and then the masses thought that, oh, this is going to go on forever. After about a year, and people forgot about all the other obligations that were furloughed. I mean, we got people that never paid rent in three years. So yeah, they thought, oh well, I can afford this $1,400 car payment on this $60,000 vehicle. So they got it. And now that everything's saying, the government's saying, well, okay, crisis averted. Everybody got to start paying their stuff back. And then people are like, whoa, wait a minute. I got to pay this back. And that's what's happening. And so now people are saying, well, I need my house. So I'm going to have to pay the rent or find a new place to rent or catch up on the mortgage or keep paying the mortgage and drop something else. Next thing people keep is their phone. Everyone's keeping their cell phone service. Now your cell phone's a necessity. So they're keeping that. From the car payments down, those are all getting canceled. So like Hulu, Netflix, all these subscriptions, and yes, even the OnlyFans, they're all going to get canceled. It's just a line item. So when people reach that period, that type of financial instability, they prioritize home, phone, and food. That's it. And they'll be out and gone, and everything else will be gone. Shout out to Big Jerome. Do you see Dow breaking 20K again? Me personally, I think the financial losses is going to be astronomical in the next 6 months. I think we're going to see a lot of firsts, a lot of prices resetting, and even in the logistics industry, I'm watching a lot of my competitors go out just because of fuel prices rising, and that's putting a few thousand more people every week into unemployment. And what's crazy is the government's not reporting the true unemployment numbers. They're giving you kind of a fudged roundabout number, and they're kicking out people, which they really shouldn't be doing. The unemployment's a lot higher than you think. Shout out to Steve ETH. Glad you got your ETH name there. I thought Biden was going to forgive all student loan debt. I know a lot of people. As soon as someone said that, I was like, that was just to get him elected. He wasn't going to. It's not going to get forgiven. Now, if he gets reelected, he will have to make good on that promise, which he might try to push through forgiving a certain amount of student debt, as he doesn't care. He can't get reelected again. So it's the other person's problem. Once again, part of human nature. So they're going to they're going to forgive a certain amount, which by forgive, they mean they're going to print money, pay it off for you, or take taxpayer money, pay it off to you, pass it off to you guys again, increase taxes, or tax you through inflation, print more money, and boom. And then what happens is the people that own the debt suck up all that money, and you just bought another. All you did with the student loan forgiveness was buy some other rich guy's super yacht. So I don't think it's going to happen, but it could. But it's not going to be wiped out debt. It's going to be paid off in some form or fashion. So I don't think it'll be really forgiven. It'll just be paid off.
Yep.
But if anything, after this, you better believe there's going to be student loan regulation coming. The next one is going to be student loan. There's going to be some regulations behind it, because
what type of regulations?
Maximum interest, more financial understanding given to young people signing these loans, understanding what the true cost of the loan is, things like that. I think there'll also be a mandatory curriculum in high school to explain it eventually, because I think there's a lot of people that really want to help young people avoid that disaster. So,
oh yeah.
So I think it's going to come. Shout out to Big Jerome. Biden doesn't know if he's president. Yeah, there are debates about that. Shout out to Freddie. Welcome in. 100% BS. Let's go, Brandon. The new proxy war ain't helping either. Shout out to Steve.eth. My company has laid off thousands. I wouldn't be surprised if it's close to 10K in jobs. Yeah, exactly. They're tightening up. They are tightening up. Companies are tightening up, especially companies that are on the fringe of being zombie companies where they survive by refinancing debt. They are going to start cutting out. Like if you're like a weird middle management position, your job's getting cut. Even in here in Northwest Arkansas, we're moving people out that were middle level management for Hershey, Pepsi, Coca Cola, Walmart, JB Hunt because there were redundancy. Why pay get this $250,000 expense off the books? And what you don't realize is they got like 1,000 or 2,000 of those positions. Ping, ping. They're just knocking them off. And, and unfortunately, unfortunately for the company, but fortunately for the people, you can't cut the frontline workers. You can only trim that down so much. You need them to do the work to bring in the revenue. But what you can cut is administrative jobs, HR. A lot of companies are dropping their HR departments because they really are just an overhead drain on a company. Nothing you can't do by just getting because the state will pay for some states like New York City, California, New Jersey, Rhode Island can there's state appointed attorneys specifically for labor laws that you can request come in on your behalf. So I don't think that's the case in a lot of southern states, but it is out there. But HR, accounting, I mean, there's AI software now that can do the accounting better than your accounting department. Um, there's uh there's a lot of things. Marketing departments are getting slashed. Um, Even like the secretary, things like that, use your phone, slashed. It's like there's a lot of things that are going to be cut away. Shout out to Freddie, probably down payment for student loan. That's probably going to come. But if that's the case, it would put education back in only the wealthy people. So you would have to be in the upper class or upper middle class to be able to utilize, you know, a university or anything like that. I think what we need is just get rid of the donations to there. And if you want to go to private, you can, but there should be a state option for every resident of the state to go for $5,000 a year. Because like when I went to college, I could have went to a state school for $3,500 for the year, to go to Rutgers. I used to live in New Jersey. I went to a private school because I at least got a good enough scholarship and my parents were able to put some money towards my college and I worked in college and paid it off. I worked at Walmart, minimum wage job, and then I tutored calculus and algebra in college, and that's how I paid my way through. And then afterwards, I worked my ass off for 3 years and managed to pay off a debt. But I only had $50,000 to pay after a 4-year private school with all my scholarships and everything, and I've lived with my parents. So I didn't have any other overhead payments other than my car note, which was only $199 for a Corolla at the time. Um, Shout out to Freddie. I'm in Miami. Everything is so expensive. Yeah, it's expensive down there. Shout out to Steve Eth. Yes, our HR operation teams are all gone and more. I work for T-Mobile and they said they are now using AI, so we might not see those old jobs come back. Exactly. Shout out to Richard Brother. Glad to have you back in here. Hello, sir. That offer to stream with you is still available. Yeah. We might have some time for like a quick chat today, but we can definitely, if you want to set up a date that you want to stream together, you certainly can. But all lives, you can certainly come on live on YouTube or join us on TikTok, and we can definitely have some chats there. Yeah, there's a lot of people. Yep, so I'll bring you on, Richard. There's a lot of changes happening in businesses. Unfortunately, AI is taking away a lot of the mediocre, menial jobs that you don't need anymore. And unfortunately, those people are going to be hard to find jobs. So, what's up, Richard's brother? Glad to have you on.
What's up, man? What's up, man? Thanks for having me. Sorry I'm a little late. I know like a month ago you're like, hey, stop on. I just been like busy running around and working and stuff. And
yeah, no worries.
About crypto and DeFi and all that. One thing I notice about like a lot of the guys on here is everyone's always talking about the same tokens.
Mm-hmm.
XQC, XRF, blah blah. It's all the same, and it's like it's not contrary. Everyone's already got it. Like it's the thing that goes 100x, 50x, 10x even isn't usually the thing that everyone already knows about. And like I do my best to show true DeFi because I know a lot of you guys love regulations, love banks, and like the SEC and stuff, but that's not true DeFi. I'm a fan of immutable, trustless, yield peer-to-peer transactions, and I feel like a lot of people on here are with the crowd. Like the entire reason crypto was invented was to eliminate banks. Why are we shilling tokens that help banks? It's built-in obsolescence. You know what I mean? Sorry, I'm getting out of the tub here. I'm gonna work a little bit. But yeah, there's just my angle, and there's a lot of hate, but RH is the truth whenever it comes to DeFi, and we can talk about, this is a scam, that's a scam, but it's immutable, trustless yield without counterparty risk, and that's what we're fighting for. That's why crypto exists, in my opinion.
Well, absolutely. And if you're going to change a system like banking, what people fail to realize is like banking really hasn't changed in probably 4 or 5, almost all the entirety of human history. And a lot of us can't comprehend a system outside of it.
Sorry?
I'm sorry, go ahead there.
I was going to say, it kind of has. Banking is completely different because banks are now obsolete. Other than an on-ramp and an off-ramp, you can now get yield by liquidity providing. Like, what you're going to take your money and get a CD for 2.9% interest when the government dumps 8% inflation on you. You're losing money when you use traditional finance. If you have dollars, you're losing money and things. And it just, I'm sorry, I'm somewhat exposed culture here. But yeah, I talk about the principles, the first principles of crypto and things like that. CDs are 6% now. Well, my hex stake is 32%, and it's for 15 years. You know what I mean? So, I'm making 400% yield on liquidity farms on Pulse Chain. Nobody knows about Pulse Chain, or that it's like weird pornography. Pulse Chain is, right?
Yeah,
because nobody understands it. Are you familiar with it?
I'm familiar with the process.
I'm familiar with it, and I can't.
Cody's familiar with it. Let me talk a little bit about banking real quick before everybody starts jumping on, going back and forth with Hex and everything. Just so you guys understand banking, because I worked on that side as well as I had a lending company before I started my moving and logistics company. So it's kind of DeFi, but it's not really accessible to everybody. So when people say you have a shareholder, there are shareholders of the central bank. What that means is when I started my lending company, I had to come up with $20 million of reserve to get ownership in whatever region of the central bank I had. Then that allowed me to borrow money against a low yield to then lend out to people. So that's what banks are using now. Before, what would happen is banks would hold your money, whether it's gold, whether it was hard assets, where banks used to have deposit boxes where you'd put hard assets like gold, silver, platinum, certificates of bonds, stock certificates, things like that. Now everything since the 70s has been digitalized, but people have not changed their mindset of how a bank is. So that's what I mean when I say banking really hasn't changed for what people perceive and use it for thousands of years. And if you told them to change it, it's very hard because it's almost become part of our economic system, and how we view money has almost become part of what human nature is. because it's been around for so long. And we can't, it's just like if you ask someone to conceive, even whether you are a capitalist or a communist, if you tell them conceive of a system without money, it's hard. It's very hard. It's like when they really start to think about it, it's like that we can't escape that system because we have lived in that system for so long that every generation it's almost become an evolutionary process built into people that we know that has become part of human behavior. However, I do disagree with a lot of the downside of crypto because a lot of it is just saying it's fraud. I could tell you right away doing auditing that cash, no con artist wants crypto because there is a trail of it. Because there just
Yeah,
isn't
well,
a trail of it.
the,
And cash, I can take out cash and you'll never know where it goes.
the
So
scam part he was talking about wasn't really about crypto. He was talking about more so post chain, in which I agree it is a scam.
okay. Oh, hold on, Cody.
All right.
Let Richard speak. Okay, and then we'll go back and forth.
No, many people don't understand what Pulse Chain is. Pulse Chain is a scaling solution for Ethereum. If you guys have tokens, which I'm assuming you do, on Ethereum, holding your own wallets because you guys are smart enough not to ever use centralized exchanges and to keep your tokens on centralized exchanges, if you do, you're going to get wrecked and lose your money. It's going to go all the way up. Put your money in a hardware wallet, get it off of those Ponzi exchanges. All centralized exchanges are Ponzi scams, right? If you don't hold your keys, you don't have, regardless. Pulse Chain is a system state fork of Ethereum. That means if you have whatever, Chainlink on Ethereum, you got a copy on Pulse Chain, okay? There's more validated. There's 44,000 Pulse Chain validators now. It's becoming more and more decentralized. I'm interested to hear why he thinks Pulse Chain is a scam, because there's no VCs, there's no big guys in it. It's all literally the people. You know what I mean?
Why I think it's a scam because one, you joined all of our streams. You joined all of our streams trying so hard to push it, just like everybody else in the community. Two, you're explaining Google definitions that I can easily look up, and you're explaining textbook hex talk.
Right.
Like, you have a lot of classic hex talking points that everybody on the hex scammy forums are talking about. And you talk about the copies of Chainlink and all that. Like, I don't need to get in the Pulse chain at all to be successful in crypto. All right. I have a Ledger Nano, I have Ethereum, I have Bitcoin, I have my risk tolerance. Why do I need to dabble into Richard Hart's fat ego ass and get in the Pulse chain,
Well, this is why, because most of the people that disregard and don't like Richard Hart is because most of them are beta male computer nerds, right?
No, it's because we
hold on.
Get into scams.
Hold on.
As I go on to, hey, listen.
Hold on, Cody. One at a time.
My brother is. So if you want a 2x, go ahead and buy Bitcoin. Maybe you'll get a 2x, 3x at most. Everyone's going to front run the 100K. It's going to top out at 80, whatever. But if you want a 100x, a 10x, you have to go contrarian, not into the basic X coins. The plebs like TikTok plebs just circle jerk each other on Quant, XQC, anything with an X in front of it, unless it's xvideos.com. You know what I mean? I ain't fucking with it. But go ahead.
Do you really think with the amount of regulation that's coming to the markets and how everything's going that Hex and Pulse Chain will be successful? Because I don't see it. They're losing liquidity. I mean, compared to everything compared to Bitcoin is losing liquidity. Not only that, the Hex community is only reliant on the Hex pump and dump shows. They're only reliant on you guys. And you guys are on the front lines every day, even joining unknown crypto streams like ours just to get up and talk about it just so more people can bag hold. Like, it's obvious in plain sight what you guys are trying to do. And about the beta male computer nerd thing, if anything, I'd say the contrary. Because most people I've seen when it comes to hex holders, like, they're usually 18 to 19 years old. They're not grown men. Hex holders, they rely on 18 to 19-year-old uneducated people on finance. And they read all of these textbook definitions that hex holders come up with. And then they fall for it and they buy into it.
How old are you, man, right now that I'm looking at?
Are you looking at me? I'm sad. Well, I'm going to be 40 in 2 weeks. So,
40?
yep.
Like most of these hex
Born
holders are 18 to 19 years old.
1983.
I
November.
thought you were going to say I was born 19 and I just stayed 19.
Well, it feels like that. I hit 18 and just haven't aged. So it is what it is.
Yeah, well, black don't crack, or whatever you might be, whatever that is, don't crack. You know what I mean? But on the contrary, in crypto spaces, I actually don't find very many young people at all. They're mostly I'm 33. You're older than me. I'm usually the youngest guy in there. There's not a lot of fucking Zoomers in crypto that I see. And if they were, they got wrecked by getting drifted from NFTs a couple years ago. So everyone's out. Like, Pulse Chain has 14,000 daily active users. We're top 5 on any given day with the most volume on the chain. Go look at Dex Screener, dude. Or like we were top 3. Binance actually had to fake volume with bots to beat Pulse Chain the first week of launch. So like,
I would argue that most of crypto trading volume is fake anyway, even for Bitcoin and Ethereum. Not even just talking about Binance. Like, most crypto volume is wash traded, you know. So when it comes to number of validators, when it comes to these on-chain numbers you talk about, I don't really care about on-chain data.
whenever if you go to Arbitrum or Optimism, you go to the biggest, or even Binance, you go to the biggest transaction. They got 6 market makers swapping like $2 million 1,000 times overnight, and you could see that on chain. And they're faking volume. If you go to Pulse Chain, there's a couple bots. So go ahead, evaluate it, and come back. And I know you're already pressed in your ways.
But okay, before you respond, Cody, before you guys respond, continue. Let me get to some
listening.
Guys in. Shout out to Nature's Blessing. Welcome back in. Glad to have you in here. Shout out to Big Jerome. Thanks for the happy early B-Day. Really appreciate that. I usually like to keep an open forum, you know, whether dissenting opinions, as long as we keep it civil and don't call each other out of their names, don't name call, don't say anything derogatory. We can just speak our opinions. And, you know, we can walk away on an even playing field because, you know, you can have an argument and not be angry with each other or hate each other. You know, we can. That's how it is. However, I'm going to answer some of his questions in just a second here. Some of the things that he stated. Shout out to Crypto Caddy. Thank you for your support. Really appreciate it. Now let me tell you why I tend to steer away from things like Pulse Hex and things because one, I'm not really in the need for 100x. Like I have my company generate monthly revenues for myself. My monthly income is in middle 6 figures. So I'm not the type of candidate that would be going into this. Now, I'd be the type of candidate that would invest in a project that say, hey, you know, we need some, we're a class A company. We need some investments. I probably would do that because I have the money to risk it. However, since I'm a little older, so I'm getting into where it's more wealth preservation rather than wealth earning. I don't need 100x. I just need something that's going to give me a stability to where it outpaces inflation and outpaces my cost of living and my cost of lifestyle, which isn't that much for you know, because I'm not that big on a lot of things, although I have purchased a few dream things that I have wanted over many years. But with that said, if you want to take that risk when you're 20 and let's just say Pulse Chain implodes and you're back to square one, you still have 20 of your best years to invest in compound interest alone, no matter what you invest in. So even if you invest in Bitcoin, stock markets, or your 401k, or you get into some type of Roth IRA, you will still be able to hit your retirement target. Now, the 100Xs are not for someone that you're trying to catch up, and that's where people get scared, because when you are desperate to catch up and cover the gap for retirement and you're in your late 50s, early 60s, that's where you can lose big. And that's why you don't see a lot of quote unquote boomers, anyone 55 plus, really getting hard into 100X. They're looking for wherever the wealthy money is going, it's whether it's stocks, real estate, crypto, no matter what type of investment, it has always been key to follow them to where they are going. That's just my opinion. So, like, I don't see a lot of them going into Pulse and Hex, but again, I don't need that type of run up. I just focus on other things, but always invest in something you truly understand and do your own research.
And that's where my stance is, when it comes to hex buyers, people who buy into hex and pulse trade, a lot of them are vulnerable 18 and 19-year-olds who are looking for those 100 X's. And a lot of that altcoin market, they rely on that excess liquidity. I've seen a lot of younger guys who are, it doesn't even have to be 18, 19-year-olds. It's just people who don't have an education on finance in general. They're vulnerable. They look for those 100 X's like Hex and Pulse Chain. I mean, you want to go ahead. Like, you can buy whatever you want. I'm just saying my stance on it is Hex and Pulse Chain. It's all a bunch of bullshit. It all relies on vulnerable people.
Okay.
No, it actually, no.
Okay, Richard, Richard brother, go ahead.
That's what you guys have been saying for the last 3 years. Oh, it's a scam. It's gonna rug. Richard has never sold a token. What Hex is Bitcoin with a proof of stake for it, basically as an ERC20. How is Bitcoin mined or minted? You mine it. How is Hex mined? You stake it. But you don't have to. There is an on-chain exchange. You hold your own keys. It's trustless yield. You can get yield.
Yeah, but literally what you're saying is what Richard Hart says on his streams.
It's actually a conservative idea. Banks already do this. Hex is doing it. Regardless of price, right? We're at the bottom in 96% dip. Okay. I like buying 96% dips, right? But the Hex and Pulse Chain community are some of the most educated people when it comes to DeFi and holding your own keys and the first principles of crypto. We're one of the loudest, third largest community on Twitter. We've always got a space going. There's 14,000 daily active users on Pulse Chain. There was 40 when it launched. You know what I mean? Like, the whole thing of young people, that's nonsense and it's predatory because you're not in the spaces listening to people. You're just dipping your toes in and getting consensus from some of the other, Shiba people or something.
I don't know why you say crypto Twitter, though. Crypto Twitter is
people are shilling shitcoins and memes.
Well,
not your keys, not your coins.
Well, it is hard because a lot of the same promoters for a lot of the same influencers that promoted shit coins also started promoting Hex occasionally. So it's kind of like that's why it blends.
It's like you go on YouTube, right? You go on YouTube and you see those fake live streams. Mm-hmm. That's what Hex is. It's pretty much in that same group of people. Like, you go on YouTube, you'll see like a fake Cardano stream, a fake Polkadot stream with like a scammy link to donate that Hex people are the same way. Like, they do those live streams and you go in the comments, they seem like paid promoters or paid chillers. It's ridiculous.
Centralized exchanges then. I heard Celsius and FTX are pretty good. You should use all the centralized.
I don't like centralized exchanges. This topic isn't about exchanges. It's about Hex and Pulse Chain.
You can get XRP and run sideways for another 10 years. So go ahead.
Well,
I mean, look at Hex. Hex is down harder than XRP. Hex is down harder. What are you talking about?
It goes down harder and it goes up harder.
Well, let me just chime in here and just explain why. So
I don't know why you get this dude on stream. I honestly don't know why.
People hate true DeFi people. Like, people hate true crypto motherfuckers.
Dude. No, we don't. No, we don't. No, we don't.
Okay.
No, we don't.
Well, let me get this before I.
You're a load of bullshit, and you're a scammer.
So let me go on with what my final thoughts on it before I let you go on this. One, it's going to be hard any charges brought against Hex and SEC are going to be from the SEC are going to be called into question given Gary Gensler's involvement in the FTX case. So that's going to pull it back. However, Hex and Pulse do have a huge target on their back because it does mimic a lot of what a traditional prosecutor would look for a Ponzi scheme, and they get promoted to wherever they want to go based on their victory percentage. And if they can bring, so Hex and Pulse have a big target because it does have some semblance with high interest yields, which is what a prosecutor is trained to look for Ponzi schemes. So so a prosecutor that's saying, "Hey, I want to get to a judgeship," or they're looking for the next political office for a prosecutor, and they get evaluated on their victory ratio, which is why they only take on cases they know they can really win. So, but Hex. So a lot of prosecutors have a 98% victory rate. So they usually take on cases where they have clear-cut evidence to win. Now, there is a lot of gray involved in a lot of crypto cases. However, it's a big enough target that if the victory does happen, they get known. And it's kind of like a stake your name in the plant, like stake your namesake.
Exactly. That's what I keep telling the people about Hex all the time.
Will go after for. That's that. But my final thoughts is you just got to let the tide wash out and see who's standing, and we'll have to see who's standing at the end. But me personally, I always say, tried and true investments, build your base first before you start getting involved in more risky assets, and only risk money that you can afford to lose. Because no matter what
type of people?
Hold on one second, Cody. No matter what asset is, even when you're placing real estate investments, if you decide something is an investment, it always has the potential to be zero, which means you could always lose. There's a potential to lose 100% of your money in any given investment, stock market, whatever you do. Doesn't matter because everything involved only has value if the market sentiment believes there is value. So I'll let you guys give final thoughts, and then we got to move on because I want to give some other people a chance to get in, and I do have to get going shortly to get on with my businesses.
Real quick about the Ponzi thing. By people thought that Hex was a Ponzi and things like that. Where is well, the yield is actually coming from the smart contract. It's actually a calculation. The yield doesn't come from other people. It's not washing Hex around from one person to the other. The only time that Hex goes from one person to another is whenever the emergency and their yield is spread out amongst the other stakers. That's the only thing. It's a mutable trustless yield.
You are the yield in Hex. You are the yield.
Okay, Cody, let him finish his final thoughts, and then I'll let you do your final thoughts, and then we'll move on.
But yeah, Hex, not a Ponzi. It's a mutable trustless yield minted by the smart contract. It's a math problem that gives you the yield. And for anyone that hates on RH, they probably got a problem with themselves. So go ahead.
Oh,
No,
go ahead.
No. Just because somebody has an issue with the way RH talks, that doesn't mean they have a problem with themselves. That is a bunch of bullshit and some cult talk.
Those your final thoughts? Fantastic.
Yeah, because you sound that's my issue and a lot of people's issue with Hex is the holders and the people who shill it. They sound just like Richard Hart, and nobody likes Richard Hart. Nobody does.
In crypto. We are the loudest, most absurd community, the craziest.
The loudest trying to scam and shill people and get their liquidity dropped.
2x with Bitcoin. Ethereum's good. Okay. Well, we forked it. You get all your copies on it on Pulse Chain, right? It's going to be fine. You're going to remember this back and say, oh, I was wrong when things even 10x. When you guys are already rich, right? Preserving your big bags, which I get. But, hey, we got to make them hundreds.
Okay, well, we're going to move on from Hex. We do appreciate you being on. Like I said, we don't mind dissenting opinions. We don't mind anything else. But, guys, just keep it civil, keep it peaceful, and we can all have a fun conversation, whether we're on either side and still like each other at the end. So thank you for coming on. We're going to move on because I think some other people want to get in.
To everyone here learning about pulse chain and hex, we're going to change your life and piss off people that don't like making 10x's, 50x's, and 100x's.
And that's a signal that it's a scam right there. Somebody
All right.
saying that. You're not
All
you're
right.
not convincing anybody with that.
All right. Well, like I always say, do your own research. Before we go on, let me get some of these people in here. Shout out to Crypto Caddy. I already know that you are not a Richard Hart fan, so I feel badly for these Richard Hart cult members. Really,
Yeah.
Shout out to Revolt to Earn. Good morning to you too, buddy. Thanks for joining in. Shout out to Big Jerome. Hex is solid. Pulse is not. Shout out to Suleiman. I hope I got that right. Really glad to have you in here. Richard Brother is the truth. Shout out to Cali X2. Awesome live. Glad to see everyone back on. Got to get going. Glad to have you in. Thanks for being a great moderator and enjoying the live. You have a wonderful day. And I think we are all caught up. Thank you, Knowledge, for sharing the live too. Really appreciate that. And shout out to Steve Eth. Hex, no thank you, LOL. Yeah, but it seems like we got mixed reactions in there. But hey, if you want to come on live, we're kind of done. We talked about Hex for a good 15 minutes there. So we're not going to talk about Hex and Pulse Chain much anymore. But if you want to come on and discuss pretty much anything else, because it's like I said, it's not just crypto. We can talk real estate, stocks, anything else. Certainly put it in there. We got a few more minutes before I have to get off and start taking care of my calls coming in from my moving company. Do want to say though, make sure you guys do your own research, invest properly. Make sure before you start getting in all these risky assets, make sure that you got your solid base. Like don't take your nest egg and try to 100x it. Leave your nest egg alone. Give it to someone who's going to give you steady returns. Make sure that you're only spending money that you're not going to bother with. If you lose it, you can shrug your shoulders, walk away. It's not going to hurt you. It's not going to hurt your relationships. It's not going to hurt your marriage. It's not going to hurt anything that you do. Make sure that's all the money that you invest, because when you start trying to make degenerate trades and it goes south, it can wreck your life, and you'll be very, very upset about that. So just be careful. Make sure that you are protecting your financial well-being by diversifying your risk on there. Let's see here. I don't think we got any other questions. We've been on here for an hour and a half. Really appreciate everybody definitely coming on. There really isn't much more to say with that, but glad that this has been a pretty good session. We will not have a live tomorrow. Well, at least not in the morning. Might have one in the evening, because there's quite a bit of good topics to go about. I do want to talk about on the next live how Andrew Tate's supporters are affecting the investor markets, because whether they are doing degenerate trades or not, they're definitely pushing in a volume of money that will I think it's going to be an incredible volume of funds being funneled into crypto and stocks and real estate probably too, as they keep trying to leave the proposed matrix that we believe we're in. I don't think there is a matrix. I just think we just have to make smart decisions, sacrifice early instead of sacrificing when it's too late. So if we can sacrifice early, we'll be better off. If you're in your 20s, my best recommendation is work 2 jobs, save your money, build up a nest egg, and then start investing in real estate and then stocks and then crypto, because that's probably going to be the best route to you. Because if you're 20 and you're not doing, and you don't follow all the other people out there that are spending their money doing degenerate things, wasting their time and effort on stuff, you will find out that if you had just invested that money in your 20s, by the time you're 30, you would have a deposit to put down on a rental property. Whether even if you had to put down $200,000, you could do it, and then you could take that rental income, pay off the mortgage, and finance your next property and keep that going. And then by the time you're my age, you'll be in the same position as me. where you have plenty of rental income. You can invest in businesses, you can invest in other people's businesses, you can invest in stocks, you can invest in crypto, you can invest in a lot of things that you want to do. That's where I kind of believe you should go. It's like, and even still, even myself, I wish I didn't waste so much time in my 20s, especially my early 20s. I did not. I blew a lot of my money on stupid stuff. Even though I paid off my student loan debts, I blew a lot of my money on other craziness, on stupid stuff. So, I like new gaming computers at the time. Computers. I bought a second car, a sports car. I had a condo, and then I bought another condo like on the beachfront. It's like I was just wasting money left and right, and I had the credit to do it until one day I didn't have the credit to do it, and it went. And so, from I think I was 27 at the time. No, 26. I was going to be 27 that year, and yeah. So from 27 to 38, I was hustling and grinding, and it really wasn't until this year that I started making a lot of money. Because even last year, like it was just getting good. Like I was just starting to catch up on things. Like money was starting to funnel back into from my investments and everything. And beginning of 2022 was when I was able to start investing in real estate. But because I made smarter decisions and sacrificed pretty much my entire last 12 years of my life, like no dating, no nothing. I didn't even have the energy to do. I don't even have the energy barely to work out. Like I get up early, I work out, I come on, I now do my stream with you guys. I start running the businesses till about like 7, 8 o'clock at night. And then, I have like something small for dinner. I don't eat throughout the day. And then, I fall asleep at like 9:30, 10, and then we wake up and we're back at it again. So, and it's a 24-hour process. So I don't even know where, building a relationship even funnels into that stuff. Although, like I said, you're confident it will get there really, but a lot of it was build. Didn't really feel like I got anywhere. Build. Didn't really feel like I got anywhere. Now it's like all of a sudden it's just like exploding out of nowhere. So it feels like it came out of nowhere, but it was 12 years of just building, not really getting anywhere, sometimes taking a step back, sometimes taking 2 steps forward. So, and if you're in that position, it's probably the best thing to do is just focus on your finances, focus on building that stuff. Because I think everyone can have a few rental properties under their belt. Even if you travel a lot for your job, you can get like a nice starter home that you can probably get for $150,000. You're there for 2 years, you pay down the debts, and then when you leave, the mortgage is cheap, and you're putting in a tenant, and it's a decent home. You do some upgrades, you increase the value, you get a little bit of equity, and now you have a rental property. In your portfolio, and you can use it as to gain other assets. Or when you retire, you can sell the house, get you've made money. The tenant helped you pay off that debt and you paid off a majority of it while you lived there for 2 years with your job, and then you moved on. So, I do know that you guys leave a few questions in my DMs about businesses and real estate, and the only thing I could tell you is that the best thing I could say is with a business is that I didn't really have true success with business until I did it myself. Like I kept having partners, investors, and things, and it would grow nicely, and then it would implode. Then the next one would grow, and then it would implode. I didn't really start until I just started doing things myself. And the same thing with real estate. Like I don't invest with people on real estate other than my brother. And that's only because we're brothers, we trust each other. But other than that, if I can't do it myself or with my brother, I really don't do it at all. And, so just make sure you just make sure that you follow those paths. Don't believe in someone saying, "Hey, give me 10,000. I'll help you get in on this property." Don't do that. That's the quickest scam I've ever seen. and that one's been around for decades. Shout out to Knowledge. Glad to have you in here, brother. Easiest way to get a rental property as far as financing, maybe DCRS loan. The best one, the best way to actually get that loan is your first time home buyer loan. I wouldn't do any risky loans because that one that you get a lower interest rate than normal. You could put down 3% and then you can join and then you can use that, but you got to live in the property. That's what I did for my first rental property. I bought a duplex and I lived in one and rented out one, the other side. And so basically I was using the tenant payment and I was matching that tenant payment while I was working, and I paid down the principal of the mortgage until I had enough equity. And then I think you can do that 2 more times. And then by the time I was 36, I was able to move out and get traditional loans. I don't really, I said your first rental property should get, if you haven't bought your first home, I would say use the first time home buyer, because you can put down less, you can live in it, use your income, which is your best asset, to help pay down that mortgage along with your tenants, and then you got to use extra money to have it. So if you have your home, I think you can do it 1 or 2 more times. But any other loan out there comes with high interest or APY interest or unforeseen balloon principles. So just make sure you read those, because I'm not too sure it's a DCRS loan, because I get different loans now. And I used the first time home buyer loan to kind of get there. And by the time I got the third mortgage, interest rates were like 2.7%. So I think that would be a good way to go. That's my opinion. Or if you have enough equity in your home, traditional mortgage, try to get it as fixed interest rate as you can. Shout out to Make Money with Scammer. What are you trading in right now, and how much is the Discord or course? I don't have a course because I don't really believe I have anything of direct value to really give you guys for a course. I don't really have time to do one. But if you want to join our Discord, it comes with the support on Patreon, along with you get pre-releases of all the videos that we do, the just videos, and I know it's about a month and a half late, but I do have those interviews. I'm trying to edit them, get them all taken care of. And those interviews with other successful business people will only be on Patreon. So those are added value, as well as I will make sure anyone that joins Patreon, I'll take time out of my day to help you answer any questions that you may have or things like that. And the bio for you, as well as you get direct access to Cody as well. Talk about crypto and things of that nature. But most of it's for real estate and business advice. And I can help you go through some of my pitfalls and how I overcame them and things like that. And I do apologize, Knowledge. I forget where you are, but how do you get past the DTI if you're on a mortgage? Probably not now, but I know in the past, mortgage brokers would finagle it past because they're interested in booking the mortgage. But now that it's gotten a little tighter, it would be hard. The best thing I could say is for you, their Knowledge, is find a property with a good P&L statement, and then you can use that to get a traditional loan, which it'll probably be around 7% right now, maybe 8% depending on your credit. You might have to put down like 10%, maybe as high as 20% to get that mortgage. But it also depends, because there's a lot of duplexes out there for under 400,000 or triplexes for under 400,000. Because I would be paying the loan with the tenant's money. Yes, that basically banks will finance you easier with contracted income, because then they know that the income is backed by the contract, which is backed by the court system. So you're going to get paid. And if you could put enough chunk down to earn back to keep some equity in there, then they know that you will be a net positive, even if they have to force the sale of the home. Because just remember, any mortgage, especially with rental properties, the bank can call for more collateralization, or they can force the sale of your home, of your rental property. So just keep that in mind. So make sure there's always like a nice chunk of equity that, one, you can use in case you have to make repairs, or you have to make upgrades. Like in Arkansas, you have to redo the carpets. And depending on how big of the rooms or which rooms are carpeted, or you have to redo the flooring, because or it has to be professionally cleaned, things like that. So you want to make sure the state that you're in, what the regulations and the laws are revolving around the landlord and tenant relationship. And because those can also directly affect your loan. Because it's harder for me to get a loan on a rental property in New Jersey than it is in Arkansas, Mississippi, and Alabama, because those states do not care. They just do not care. And even Oklahoma, there's not even any building standards. Like these houses are like hodgepodge gingerbread homes. But I hope I answered that question. But just don't do a no income verification loan, because they have a lot of hidden principles in that mortgage. So make sure you read that sucker thoroughly. I don't care if you make the closing last 10 hours. Read that mortgage thoroughly before you sign it. If you're referring just what I'm said there, knowledge, make sure. I would not do a no income verification loan. Those are going to be harder to come by now with higher interest rates and banks tightening up and trying to get more suitable candidates to lend money to. But make sure you read the entirety of that mortgage contract, because there are hidden terms in no income verification where banks make sure they get their money back. And if you can put down as big of a down payment as possible, the more you come to the table with, the less risk the bank has, and the more you have the more they know that you won't abandon the property when things get too tough. But also the tenants act as contracted income. So therefore, it's backed by the contract, which is the contract is backed by the civil court system. So they know that you can get your money back. So with that said, guys, I got to head off. I hope you guys enjoyed the live. Really appreciate all your support. We got up to 12,000 likes. So that's definitely great to have. Really appreciate all your support and appreciate all the shares too. If you guys got any questions, you're going to have to DM me and on Thumbtack, or you can go to Facebook page, Simply Investing, on there and go over through there. Knowledge, we can definitely talk more, maybe a little later today. I'll DM you. On paper, I wouldn't qualify for anything because of my mortgage, but I have an 820 credit score. Yeah, it's trust me, it's getting really, really tough, even for mid-cap people like me, where we have a lot of money, but we're getting harder and harder to get financing for. And it's still hard to beat the cash buyer, the one that has bigger liquidity, that they can come in and buy that mortgage, or buy that property right off the bat within 48 hours close. So I will talk more about it a little later today with you, Knowledge. I'll DM you probably in like about 6 to 7 hours later today for you. But really appreciate that. Really appreciate Nature's Blessing. Thanks for the support there. She does some lives too, so go help her out, like and follow her too. She does a lot of things. You're welcome, Knowledge. Glad to have you on. Great supporter there. Really appreciate all your guys' support, and I have fun chatting with you guys. So with that said, guys, I got to sign off. I'll check you guys later. Have a wonderful day, and peace. Remember, do your own research and don't invest your nest egg. Only invest what you're willing to lose. Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful day.